Military video games are some of, if not the most played video games on the market. Games like Battlefield and Call of Duty dominate the industry and generate millions of dollars in revenue. These big franchises are in the news every day, but there is another game that challenges Battlefield and Call of Duty they may not have heard of. This game is called Arma. Arma is a military simulator that shoots to be as realistic as possible and tries to stay away from the more arcade feel, which is what Battlefield and Call of Duty boast. Arma is a game of slow-paced, drawn-out combat that is both satisfying and scary. A few bullets in Arma can kill you, whereas in Call of Duty or Battlefield, a few bullets is nothing. I personally played Arma 2 for a very long time, then moved on to Arma 3, which I fell in love with. But I am not here to talk about my experiences with the previous Armas. I'm here to talk about the creation of a possible sequel to Arma 3, and what I personally would do to create the game Arma 4. So to start off, I want to talk about the graphics. The graphics in Arma 3 were okay, but they're not as good as they could have been. This is mostly due to the absolutely horrendous performance of the game and how it bogs down any computer's CPU so badly that the game runs at a constant 20 frames per second. One of the main things I would focus on in Arma 4 is optimizing the game engine and making sure that the engine actually utilizes someone's graphics card rather than putting it all in the CPU. Performance improvement in Arma would be a huge plus for everyone, and it needs to happen. Another thing I would do is improve the lighting. Currently the lighting is average, it looks very flat and uncolorful. I have to use mods to make my game look a bit more colorful, but it shouldn't be the modders' jobs to make the game look pretty, it should already be done by the developers. So in Arma 4, I would definitely focus on the lighting because I have a feeling that the lighting alone could make the game so much prettier. Now we get to the topic of gore. I personally would make Arma 4 super bloody. War is hell and fucking awful, which is why it must be portrayed as such in this military simulator. I'd make it so people who get blown up lose their limbs. The people who get shot actually lose a decent amount of blood, and when you or someone else gets shot, bullet holes actually appear on your body. All this would make Arma 4 much more immersive. To increase this feeling, it is sensible to add in dynamic animations and more immersive looking particles and destruction effects. Ditch the static destruction of a building, it's really lame. I would make it so buildings break dynamically. I would add in animations for entering a vehicle in first person rather than the game just cutting out black quick and popping you into the vehicle. Driving cards needs to be way more immersive in Arma 4 because at the moment driving a vehicle looks boring as hell. And to wrap up the graphics section of this video, I'd like to add in that characters need to have random faces. Currently, as far as I can see, every character in this game has the exact same face. This is really bad and really stupid, and it needs to change. This game would be so much more immersive if every character had like a unique face. It just needs to happen. Now let's talk about the technological improvements I would make to the game that are not graphics related. The first thing I would change are the controls. My god, the controls are fucking awful. There is absolutely no reason for more than half of the shit they currently have to be in this game, and it all needs to go. There is some major streamlining that needs to be done with the controls, and I would definitely get rid of the advanced commands that make no sense to use, like the ability to command a squad member to look at a specific item on a specific body, or like an item in a specific location. There's no need for this functionality because I never use it, no one else uses it, and no map that I have played yet has ever used that function either. The game only needs the basic commands like movement or generic squad commands, maybe a few advanced features like telling a squad to take cover. That's it. That's all Arma 4 needs, and that's all I would put into it. I would also improve the netcode. Yes, I know, shocker, right? The netcode in the multiplayer is awful. The desync is horrendous and it needs to be fixed. There are so many times when I shoot an enemy and they don't take damage but their body twitches because the bullet passed through them. Yes, it's fucking stupid and it literally happens to everyone, and I would most definitely put this netcode issue like at the top of my list, right next to performance for Arma 4. The movement in the game could use an update. In Arma 4, I would make the movement very similar to Grand Theft Auto 5. A physics-based movement system feels so much more realistic and better all around. This would benefit Arma 4 so much, and it would make the game so much more enjoyable. And now we're going to talk about the AI. The AI in Arma is horrendous. Sometimes the AI works, sometimes it doesn't. You know, it's just kind of there and then it's not there. I've seen the AI literally stand in the middle of the road getting shot at and literally not move. I've seen them literally stand out there for minutes while getting shot at and not react at all. It's so bad. The AI needs improvement, more specifically in the movement department. The AI seems to travel in linear lines and it makes the AI look and act really dumb. They also don't form like intelligent formations, nor do they use strategies to take on the enemy. They just charge in and shoot, or they just sit there in the middle of a road. Arma 4 would most definitely have good AI to fight against because I would make sure of that. I would revamp the vehicle system, specifically the damage systems. If you've ever played War Thunder, that's the kind of damage system that every military game needs to have, hands down. It's the most realistic and most fun to play with. Okay, there's no argument. It's dynamic and it's realistic in the way that each metal or each piece of armor that a vehicle has, the attacker must have a bullet that can penetrate that metal. Each car would have like a weakness spot, and the vehicles could also have parts on them damaged. Like, for example, if someone shot a 50 cal into my transmission on my truck, my transmission would break. The system would be so enjoyable to play with, and Arma would benefit from it greatly. The final topic is the modes and scenarios topic. I would make Arma 4 feature dynamic single-player missions. An example of this is the famous Warfare mode from Arma 2. This mode was extraordinary, and I spent many hours playing that mode alone. It was ported to Arma 3 from mods, but it didn't feel or play right. Other good dynamic missions I would add into Arma 4 would be things like random battles that the computer generates for the player. Maybe one time the enemy severely outnumbers the player, and then the next time the player might be escorting a convoy that gets ambushed on the road. Dynamic missions would add a lot of playability to this game, and it would benefit the game a lot. Believe it or not, I would drop the campaign in my Arma 4 game. It would not feature a campaign at all. Why? The campaign was and never will be good in a game that's like this. In my opinion, a campaign in a game like this is a huge waste of time and money. I would use this time and money to either focus on the netcode or focus on the performance of the game. Another thing I would do is drop Zeus, the game mode Zeus. It's awful. I mean, it's cool, but it just doesn't fit. In Arma 4, I would drop it. If I did decide to keep it though, I would make it so the AI could play Zeus, or I could play Zeus against the AI, so you didn't need like another player to do it. Otherwise, I would just drop it. To wrap things up, I would just like to point out a few more things that I would do in Arma 4. I'd make sure the game is based off modern technology instead of the weird futuristic technology that Arma 3 is based on. This would allow for much more detailed and realistic sounds, textures, locations. Last but not least, I would also keep the Eden editor. The Eden editor is fantastic, and I would totally carry that over into Arma 4. It's a very easy to use editor, and has proven to be very useful and fun to use, and I found myself playing it a lot. I literally have 300 hours in Arma 3, and at least 200 of them are spent on that editor. I love screwing with it. It's so fun. Anyway, that's the major things that I would do in the creation of Arma 4. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like, comment your thoughts, and also subscribe to see more of my theoretical sequels series, because I really enjoy making this, and I really want to continue doing it. Anyway, I will see you in the next video.